What is going on, guys? This is All Gaming with my review of Black Bullet episode 10, and holy crap, what this episode messed up. This episode right here was definitely the one that would hit you in the feels, because that ending right there, it was just so messed up, and I definitely see where Rentaro was coming from, because he had every right to act like that. But now we see at the beginning of the episode, we have Rentaro and Kisara. They are, of course, teaching these cursed children once again, and we see that they were actually, giving them this test. And so after the test, we have Rentaro. He passed out this sheet, and the sheet asked them, in the future, what do they want to be? And so we see that the only ones that actually, finished this little quiz, I guess you could say, was Tina and Inju, and they both wanted the same thing, and it was to marry Rentaro and kiss him, anytime they had wanted to. But all of the other children, they did not write down anything because they were all, stumped for words, because obviously they thought that they were going to die, so they never thought about their future. But now we have Rentaro who get this bright idea, and he actually asked Kisara how much money does she have on her. And so now we see that Rentaro, he planned this trip, and we see that he actually took the kids around, and then apparently they're going to be this festival that's going to happen. And sadly enough, all the cursed children, they thought that they would not live long enough to enjoy this festival, because they thought they were gonna die, once this monolith had collapsed. But now we see that Rentaro, he was able to brighten up their day, because obviously him and Kisara, they're gonna fight for their survival. And now we see that all the kids, they kind of cheer from that, and eventually they all just fall for Rentaro, and they all want to marry him. And that was hilarious. We saw all those children, start jumping on him and clinging on him, and that right there, was pretty freaking funny. And so now we see that after that, we have Kisara, Inju, Tina, and Kisara. They all return to their base, I guess you can say. And we have Kisara here who actually called out to Rentaro, because he cannot sleep, unlike our other cursed children, because they were all knocked out, but Rentaro was still awake, and he had all the thoughts going through his mind. And Kisara was also up, and she called out to Rentaro and asked him if she would come with her on this walk. And so now we see that they actually went to the monolith that's definitely going to collapse at this point, because we see that it's definitely weakening, because it is corroding thanks to that liquid that gas you had spit on there. And so they actually asked a pretty good question, how come this Gastria only attacked this one monolith, and how come it didn't go after any others? And now at first I thought that it was the same reason as Kisara said, that maybe it's because that it used up all of its liquid, on this one monolith, because obviously, the monolith, it is a massive block of the special metal. So obviously to take out one, it requires a lot of liquid. So maybe it use it all up, and it cannot attack another one, till it restock that liquid that it can make. But Rentaro also pointed out another good theory about maybe something about the monolith is very different from the others, and that's possibly why it targeted this one. And so now we have Kisara that will definitely look into it, but we have her now laying on the ground, and Rentaro actually joins her. And so always, Rentaro here, he can never really act on his feelings, because we saw him wanting to hold her hand, but he was stopping himself, but eventually he does do that. And so now we have Kisara here breaking down a little bit, because right now she sees Inju, Tina, and Rentaro, and herself, of course, as this little family. And the chance that she could possibly lose all that, it definitely scares her. But we have Rentaro here who kind of encouraging her, and that they'll be alright. And that right there, eventually, when he takes hold of her hand, I'm definitely glad that we're getting this, that they're getting this building toward a relationship for them, because it's definitely nice. And so the following day, we have Rentaro. He's now out walking, and we see that the city, and some parts it's definitely deserted, and it's also beat down, because we saw a lot of these buildings, rather trash, and they had graffiti on it. but we see that Rentaro, he actually go back to the same place where we saw this rather unique cursed child, because obviously she is blind, of course. Any people, they like picking on her again, and so Rentaro, he had to get involved, and we see that he was able, he was able to chase them away, because he is a civil officer and he did fire his gun, but he was saying that next time it definitely won't be a warning shot, he will shoot them. And so now we have these guys leaving, and they're clearly upset. And we see now that they believe that the civil officers are also on the cursed children's side, because these people that really hate the cursed children. Excuse me. We have these people that like really hate the cursed children. They're out there, like trying to get rid of them. And we saw that they even had that written on like different buildings saying get rid of the cursed children. And so now because of that, we see that like clearly there's like this tension that is now boiling over between the regular people and the cursed children, and it definitely plays a major role in the episode. But Rentaro did protect the girl, and she was alright. And we see now that this girl, she was like touching Rentaro's face, and now she knows that from like touching him. So clearly, because of our eyesight, being gone, she definitely have like this like other kind of unique power that we have not seen from any other cursed child, yet. And so once Rentaro, how dealt with her and returned back to the base, he was actually going to go to school. And we had the other guy, like not the one that we saw last week, but the one before that. His current child partner is the model spider. We have him saying to Rentaro that he will just get too attached, because he wanted to go there and and teach the children again, because he's a teacher now and he is enjoying that. So obviously he wants to go. And we have Andrew who like all pumped up, and she clearly excited to go there as well. And so we see that Tina and Kisara, they are definitely, getting like very close, and that's what I like, because I do want them to have like this solid partnership. So I am glad that we're seeing them, like being close like that, because it is a good thing. But now we see that when he went there, Tina was still asleep, but she was going to wake up and leave with them. But Rentaro, told her that it was alright, because she stayed up waiting for Kisara. So when Kisara wakes up, she could just go there. And so now we have Rentaro and Enju. They're now heading, to teach other children. And we see that Enju, she had bought, I believe it's called Tenchu Girls. She had bought the DVD to show the other children so that they could eventually play together. And that what they was like definitely nice. And here where things, get really messed up, because we see now that when Rentaro gets there, we see that this area is now closed off, and we see all these police officers are there. And so Rentaro, he's not panicking, because we see now that he actually runs to the scene, and we just see like this like crater in the ground. And so obviously Rentaro definitely picks up what it is, and it was actually a bomb that had went off. And so later on, we actually see that when he actually goes to identify the bodies, he recognized them, almost exactly. So he could tell that right there with his students, and it was just so messed up that like somebody would just go that far. And I do hope that Rentaro can find whoever did that, because that right there was just some low down crap, and whoever did that deserves like the worst possible death, because you should never attack kids like that. You should not attack kids in general, but that right there was just going like way too far. So I do hope that he can find out who did it. But when he left, we have Enju, who was actually there, and we have these officers that were trying to get her, to go away, but she wouldn't, and she actually ran to Rentaro, who was like wondering what was going on. But Rentaro had told her, to go home, and then he had the guards, to remove her. But that's when we saw, her eyes become red, and she used, her superior strength to get free. And when she went inside, you just heard this scream that would just like break your heart. That right there was like devastating, and that right there, really crushed them both. You can tell that Rentaro, he was just so devastated, and Enju at the end. She just looked, dead, and I just felt so bad for them. And excuse me, and we even saw that when Rentaro was like on the roof of this building, he was like looking through those papers about what they want to be. That right there actually like made things even worse. And so eventually, like this gust of wind, it blew them all away. And then we have Kisara. She's now calling Rentaro. And so when they're talking, he asks her, you know how Tina is, because Kisara is the one that obviously told her what happened. And so, sorry about that. And so Tina is now calming down, so that's good. But I do wish that we could have saw her reaction and also Kisara's initial reaction as well, because that right there would have just put the feels over top. But now we have Rentaro, who is definitely in doubt right now if these people are definitely worth protecting. But Kisara has to remind him that that they are civil officers and they must see justice. And Rentaro is starting to even doubt that justice in the world, you know, can even exist. And so now we see the monolith. It is now destroyed when it shouldn't be, because they still have like 1 day left. And I also forgot that that the day that Rentaro had went to go save that girl, Kisara was the only one that was going to teach the students, and because Rentaro was not there, they were actually going to they actually booed her, and that right there was like definitely funny. I definitely got a laugh out of that. But now we also learn from the package that Kisara actually got, that Monolith 32, I believe this is. It was actually, you know, like built on the plans of Kisara's, you know, grandfather, I believe. And we see that Kisara, you know, throw the paper in the fire, and we see her walking off, and she's just so pissed off. I did not think that she would get mad over that, but she was clearly, you know, pissed off. And so now at the end of the episode, we have the monolith. It's now being destroyed, of course. And so Rentaro and Inju, they now have to go there. And we see that once Rentaro had went to Inju, she had to like pump herself up, but obviously, you know, she is still devastated. So because of how emotional the episode is, I will give it like an 8 out of 10. And from the preview of next week's episode, I do believe, you know, it's strongly believable that that Kagitane, you know, will be coming back, and that right there, you know, will definitely be something. But as always, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe. And also, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But as always, you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.